So, hello. I'm having quite a unique TED experience. I found out about 2-3 days ago that I'd be standing here talking to you today. So I finished my week, honoured my appointments, finished my working week, and it got to yesterday, and I had the space to finally start thinking about the fact that I would be here talking to you today. And I definitely had a voice on this shoulder going, oh my God, what are you doing? This is insane. You don't do public talking. What are you going to talk about? People spend months planning for these things. And luckily, I had another voice on my other shoulder, which has been talking to me in a louder voice about the incredible work and the privileges that I've had in working with some of the bravest and most courageous young people that I've had the pleasure of working with at Kids Company. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Kids Company. Kids Company is a charity that was set up in 1996 by Camila Batmanghelidjh, and it operates through street-level centres, and we also work in over 40 schools across London and in Bristol and Liverpool as well now. And it works by allowing children to self-refer. So they hear about us. So they come along. They might have heard that we do meals. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That might be that first point of need. They hear about us from their peers, from their family, from their friends. And they self-refer. So that already makes it a different process. They don't have to come to us because an adult has decided they have a need. They don't have to be referred by social services. Which means that we end up seeing children that are coming to us on their own because they have a huge need. They are coming from backgrounds of abuse, neglect, lone childhood, basically. They have multiple traumas in their lives. They sometimes come from backgrounds of multiple violence, so that could be in the home, that could be in the neighborhoods that they live in. And they're coming to us with that. And what we provide is full wraparound care, so everything that a child needs. And that means that we support their practical needs, so shoes, housing, clothing, food, a bed, all of those things. And as well as that, we support their emotional and well-being needs, so therapies, helping them through life, and all of those kind of things, which means that we've got this incredible kind of connected and joined up scaffolding to support these children. So my role, I'm obviously artist, curator, and I lead on a lot of the exhibitions and events and creative projects that we do. So I guess you could ask, why the arts? When we have an amazing team at Kids Company delivering such essential grassroots needs, really looking at some of these absolutely incredible young people and the challenges that they're facing, why are we doing so much with the arts? Why is that important? And I first became really interested in Camila and what she was doing over 10 years ago, and started following what she was doing. And she's an incredibly charismatic person and a very colourful person. And when I got the opportunity to meet her a couple of years after that, I realised that that wasn't just her dress and her personality. That was something that she instilled in her driving force behind Kids Company. And absolutely everything that we do at Kids Company, she really insists that it's infused with the arts, with creativity. And I guess for me, well, I believe that all children are born with this inherent ability to create and be artists and be creative. And basically what happens is we grow older and we take on insecurities and we take on worries and we start to have all this baggage and we start to think, oh my goodness, if I create things, what is someone going to think about that? What's it going to look like? But what I love, and maybe this is my little guilty pleasure of working with young people and children, is that they have this incredible energy. So they'll have a thought and or they'll have a feeling or they'll have a memory or a dream, and it will start here, and their process is incredibly urgent and incredibly immediate, but that doesn't mean it has any less meaning or any less depth. It just means that they have less blocking them between here and it coming through and then making something and it coming out, and they know exactly how they want it to be. And I know as an artist who can spend weeks and months and years in a studio trying to get that thing to come out here, that this is actually a really difficult process, and it's such an amazing thing to watch children. And I really feel that when they do that, there's such freshness and such truth and such vitality in that work that it's something brilliant to watch and behold and work with. And then when you join that thing that children can do, and you start working in that way with a group of children, like the children and the young people and the teenagers and the young adults that we work with at Kids Company, something very special begins to happen. I'm going to talk about a project we did a few years ago called Shoebox Living. And we were working in a school in South London, and we knew that a lot of the children in this school had huge challenges, huge issues. A lot of them were living on one of the biggest estates in South London. A lot of children on the child protection register. But we didn't know how to make that first connection, that first conversation with those children. And so I went down there and worked with 125 children across a few months. And I gave them each a white shoebox, which was theirs, empty white shoebox. And we also gave them all the tools, all the materials they need, glue, wallpaper paste, fabric, paint, modeling clay, whatever would make it easy for them to create something. And I asked them to create a room from their home. So I asked them to go into their homes. They could choose any room. And the only brief or the only rule was that they had to make that room as realistic as they possibly could. That was it. They just knew that was it. They knew that if they made it realistic, it would be right. They couldn't go wrong. They wouldn't be shamed. There was no telling off, as long as they just tried to remember the things that they could remember about that room. And they got to work. We started to build this incredible body of work, of shoeboxes. And we gave each child the opportunity to talk about their box. So on a one-to-one basis, once they'd created their box, they sat with me and they went through, they told me what everything was, what was going on, what the people were doing. And very naturally through this process, there was a huge sense of childlike joy in the fact that they'd made this box and they were really proud of it. But also that these stories started to unfold, and we started to see something else. We started to see into those children's homes. So we had access into their homes that otherwise we wouldn't be able to have. And not only that, we had access into their homes, seeing them through their eyes, so their perspective. The only things in those boxes were the things that they remembered and the things that they wanted to put in there. It wasn't a photograph of their house. It wasn't, if they weren't bothered about the lampshade, that wasn't in there. And 1 in 6 of these children that I spoke to in this first round of working like this presented causes for concern that were big enough deals for us to robustly support them, involve social services, and create a care structure around those children and those families, because they were reporting things like the mice and the rats and the droppings and the weapons and the people in there that weren't doing very nice things, the abuse, the lack of food, the poverty and things like that were just coming out in these stories. And all the children wrote a sentence to go with their box, that they were happy to go with their box. And so we realized something really special was happening here, and we rolled it out with other children. I think I worked with over 1,000 children in the end. And as this was going on, obviously this took several months, more and more people saw what we were doing. We knew we wanted to exhibit it, but we hadn't quite figured out, what we were going to do with that yet. And what ended up happening was the art world got behind us. So inspired by what the children had done, artists like Damien Hirst, Jeremy Deller, Jake and Dinos Chapman, the list goes on, over 40 artists got involved and created their own box of their own childhood. So then we had this incredible body of work. We've got lots of boxes created by our young artists at Kids Company, and we've got all these boxes created by leading artists. And we've got those, we're bringing them together, and we ended up putting on an exhibition in what was the Haunch of Venison in central London. And so we did a trip. Every child that had made a box obviously came to the exhibition to see their work. And I actually don't think they really believed when I told them that these were going into an exhibition and talked about what an exhibition was. I genuinely think these children thought, yeah, whatever, it's going to be in our school library, or it's, whatever. And so I met them. I met all of the children, and they all came into central London. And you've got to remember, for a lot of these children, lots of them haven't actually left their postcode. They might have been born and grow up in London, but they don't always get the opportunity to come into central London. And the same with some of these galleries. Some of these are very closed spaces or inaccessible spaces to the children and the young people. We have a space in Southwark, and I took a group of teenagers to the Tate Modern, and this is their area. And they didn't even know it was there. They were just, whoa, space. So there I am, meeting the children. We're walking through the Burlington Arcade, and they're like, whoa, what is this? Are those diamonds? I'm like, yes. And they're like, no, they're not. I'm like, yes, they are. So anyway, we got through the Burlington Arcade. That was quite dramatic. And then we get to this palace. We are outside this palace. It's got pillars, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. And they've never seen anything like it. And we walk inside, and there's their artwork. And they are. And so then I start to talk to them. I'm like, this is made by Grayson Perry, and he's this artist that, and this is made by Damien Hirst, and he's this. All right, let's go and have a look at our boxes. So we go over and we look at the boxes. But what really struck me was, during the course of the day, I kept getting, the kids asking me, tugging on my shirt, Jebet, what are these people doing? What's that man doing? Who's that lady? And it dawned on me, and I said, guys, you do realise that all of these people here, these men in their suits and these ladies in their very smart clothing and this big space, this is all because of you. This is all because of the work that you've created. This is all because of your artwork. And these artists that we were talking about, they were inspired. They've done what you did. They've copied you, a lot of them said. And this is all because of you. And that moment when their faces just lit up and they realised that maybe for the first time, adults and grown-ups had stopped and had listened to them and had looked at their work how they wanted it to be, and that was good enough, and their stories were important enough. And I'm standing there with these children, and their faces. It was very special, very, very special moment. And so that's a bit about what I do and what we do at Kids Company and why there are so many incredible artists at Kids Company and creative people. And we put on, over the years, we've put on lots and lots of exhibitions in lots and lots of spaces. And I think galleries are beginning to wake up, and lots of institutes and incredible people and places and things are beginning to realize that these works by these children, these dialogues, these comments are actually really, really important. And we need to create spaces and allow them into the spaces that give them the dignity that I really, really think they deserve. And so, I guess, thinking about new frontiers, in a society where we have the resources, we have the tools, we have everything we need to meet the needs of all of these children in our country, I really feel that actually something's going really wrong. We hear more and more in the press horrific stories of horror in recent history that we need to all be ashamed of, where children aren't being heard and they aren't being seen and their stories are not being listened to, and they have been failed by us. And I guess if there's anything we could take, that would be that we could sort of start pick up on this little bit of magic of this thing that we're doing at Kids Company, and these children and these young people have already started saying through the means of this dialogue that they have when they don't necessarily have the words, and they can't always be there themselves to tell the adults, the many hundreds of adults that get to see an exhibition instead of the one adult in front of them. If there's something we could do is just create more platforms as a society, as adults, just to listen, to step back, to involve them in the conversation, to have them tell us what we can do to help them. That's mine.